Jake here for American Trucks, and today I'm taking a look at these powered, heated, extendable towing mirrors with smoked amber LED turn signals and chrome mirror caps for 2014 to 2017 Silverado 1500s. If you're towing and hauling with your Silverado, then you know that those stock mirrors can be woefully inadequate as far as visibility goes. So these mirrors that we have here are going to give you better visibility with a larger surface area for the glass, some additional lighting, plus some more adjustability versus your stock setup. So these make for an excellent upgrade from your stock mirrors, and they're not going to hurt your wallet either. When you've got a big trailer out behind your truck or a big load out there, being able to see properly makes all the difference in your confidence behind the wheel. If your Silverado came with the standard size mirrors and you're towing often, then you owe it to yourself to make an upgrade. Now these mirrors feature larger main sections of glass right here, in addition to these convex sections down here in the lower half of the mirror. So these are going to provide you with much more surface area so you can better place your truck and the trailer as well. These can also be manually extended, just like that, making it easy if you've got a large trailer or a large load behind you. Now these will extend more, it's just much easier to do that when they're on the truck versus on the table here. Now these do also retain your factory power adjustments for the main mirror glass, so regular adjustments are easy to do. In addition, they also retain the heating function, so on cold or snowy mornings, just switch on your rear defroster from the dash, and these are gonna clear off with absolutely no effort from you. All of it makes for very easy usage and a simple upgrade versus your stock setup. But there's more to it than that. On the outside, as you can see here, the mirror caps are finished in chrome to complement the rest of the chrome trim on your truck. But the bigger story is that these also include some additional lighting. So on the back side here, you get these LED turn signals with a smoked polycarbonate lens. These look really cool and stealthy, and they work in conjunction with your stock turn signals to make your rig more visible out on the roads. Now, since they are LEDs, they should also last a long time too, and that means you're not gonna have to worry about bulb replacement. On the inside by the mirror glass, you'll see two other sets of LEDs. These are gonna function as puddle lights. Now, the puddle lights are gonna make it much easier for you to access or see the cab of your truck when it's dark outside. However, it is worth noting that these are only gonna work if your truck came equipped from the factory with a set of puddle lights. If your truck did not come equipped with them, unfortunately, these are not gonna work. Now, pricing for these is gonna come in around $325 for the pair, making them pretty affordable considering all that you get. Between the heating function, the additional mirrors, and the lights, you're getting a lot for your money, and these are a vast improvement versus your stock mirrors. So again, if you're hauling or towing a lot, it's a small price to pay for the additional visibility and the safety that these are gonna provide. Installation will come in at a 1 out of 3 on the difficulty meter, and these should only take you about an hour to install. They are essentially a plug and play install, and they come pre-wired ready to go, so there's really no need to make any modifications to your truck. And with that, let's head over to the install bay and we'll show you the process. Tools required for this install are a magnetic pickup tool, a small flathead screwdriver, a ratchet with an extension, a 7mm socket, a 10mm socket, a panel removal tool, and a clip removal tool. Hey everyone, today we're going to be showing you how to install these powered heated tow mirrors on your Silverado. We're going to be installing these on our 2014 Silverado. First things first though, we got to get these stock mirrors off, so let me show you how to get that done. All right, so the first step of the process is going to be to remove the inner door panel. In order to do that, we need to undo 6 bolts. So there are 2 on the bottom down here, 1 behind this wood trim here, 2 right here in the grab handle, and 1 back here. So we're going to start, take our little flathead screwdriver right behind the door handle itself. You'll see there's a little indentation. We're just going to go ahead and pop that cover off, exposing the bolt. We'll set that aside. Next, I'm gonna go right in here. Same deal, there's a little cover down here. You'll see an indentation with a tiny flathead. You can just give that a little leverage, pop that cover right out and set it aside. Again, that's gonna expose 2 bolts down here. Next, we're gonna go ahead and pull this wood trim off. Now, you should just be able to get in here with your hands, give this a little bit of a pull. If you need a pry bar, you can use one of those here as well. Right here. Now these might lose the little metal clips in here. One of ours just actually fell inside of the door. We're gonna go ahead and take those out, put them on the trim here. Now that we have the necessary covers removed, we're gonna go ahead and start undoing the bolts. I'm gonna start at the top here and work my way down. So there's 1 7mm bolt right here behind the door handle. Just take a ratchet and undo that. And we're gonna save these, set them aside because we're gonna need them to put the door panel back on. All right, next we're gonna go right in here in the grab handle. There are 2 of these same 7mm bolts. Just gonna loosen these up. pull them right out. And I've got a little tray over here to keep everything organized for myself. The second one. Pull that out as well. Okay, next we're gonna get our next bolt. There is one that is kind of shoved all the way back in here, hence the reason for the extension. You don't have to do any of these, just this one right here. Let's go ahead, break that loose. It's extra helpful if you have a little magnet stick. Just grab the bolt and pull it right out. Okay, next we're gonna get our last two bolts down here on the bottom of the door panel. Again, these are the same 7mm bolts. And then one more right here. Okay, now we're ready to pull our door panel off. All right, next we're gonna go ahead and release the clips around the outer edges of the door panel. So I'm gonna take my plastic panel removal tool or pry bar. I like to start down in the corners and just release a few of the tabs. Just kind of go around. Once you've got a few released, they usually come pretty quickly. You can just grab it with your hand and start to work it loose. And there are a few clips up at the top here that you'll have to undo. Once you've got it cleared out, you should just be able to lift this right away. All right, now that we've got the door panel released, next thing we gotta do is unclip the cable for the door handle itself. So you're gonna push down on this little white tab here, pull it back, and you can just pull the cable right out and release the ball. Once that's done, we've got one large connector over here, this one with the gray handle on it. So you're gonna push this little black plastic tab in the center, and then you can pull up on this gray connector and it will come right out. Now your door panel is free. You're gonna set this aside. All right, next we're gonna be taking this top trim off, but before we do that, we've got two little pins to remove, one here and one here. So I'm just gonna take my little removal tool, slide it underneath, pull that right out. Same thing in here. Set them aside, we are gonna reuse them. Now we're gonna go ahead and take off this trim around the outer edge of the door. You can probably just get in there and pull off the clips with your hand, but you can also use a plastic pry tool if you need it. Once that's off, we're gonna set that aside and we've got our mirror exposed, so we're almost there. Okay, next we're gonna go to this connector right here. Just gonna press down on the tab and release that. That is our mirror connector. You've got a couple of clips here that you can just pull right out. And then we have these three bolts up here. These are 10mm, so I'm just gonna take my ratchet, break these loose. This particular set of mirrors does come with new nuts, so you don't necessarily have to worry about saving these, but hang on to them anyway, just for good measure. Once you start to loosen this one, the mirror is gonna be a little bit more free, so make sure you support it on the outside. Once you've got that done, you're gonna take this rubber grommet and push it through, and then just pick up the mirror, pull your connector out, and that's your stock mirror removed. Now, one difference between these two mirrors that you might notice is that our stock one here has 3 of these studs, whereas this new one has 4. Now, this will also fit on a heavy-duty 2500 or 3500 Silverado, but since ours is a 1500, we don't have the provision for this stud. So you've got a couple of options here. One of which is you can drill it. So this is a 13/32 drill bit. If you just line this up through the door, you'll see there's a spot in the actual door panel where the mirror mounts where you can drill through. We'll show you that when we get back over to the truck. The other thing you can do is the jam nut method. So you can take 2 M6 nuts just like this, and using 2 wrenches, you can go ahead and tighten these together. And this sort of works as a makeshift stud extractor. Once you've got those nice and tight, just like that, take that top wrench off, you can break that loose. The whole thing will just come right out. Once you've got that set aside, we're ready to go ahead and put this on the truck. Okay, so now we're getting ready to install the new mirror on the door of the truck. If you're gonna go with that drilling method, now is the time to do it. You're gonna see that there is a little circle, an indentation here in the inside stamping of the door. So if you are gonna drill it, just take your 13/32 bit. You can drill right through there for that 4th stud. You also get new hardware included in the kit, so we're gonna use those. Make sure you have them handy. So now I'm gonna take my mirror, take the connector, feed it through that large center hole right here. Just give it a nice little tug. Then you're going to align these 3 studs with the holes that are in the door. You can pull that grommet through it this time too. That'll give a nice pop. And then you're going to take these new nuts. These are 10 millimeters. Once you've got the studs in, you can take these new nuts that are included in the kit, start backing them down. Once you have one of them on hand tight, the mirror should stay up by itself. You can just do up the other ones. And I always like to get things started by hand, because just putting a ratchet or something on them makes them much more susceptible to cross-threading. Once we've got them on, go ahead and take our ratchet and tighten them down. Probably have to go back across these a couple times, make sure they're tightened down nice and evenly. Again, I'm just gonna make sure that grommet is pulled all the way through. Then we're gonna go ahead and plug it in. Now we can go ahead and plug in the mirror, so make sure you've got the tab in the right place. Only goes in one way. Push it down until it seats nicely. And then what we can do to get this wire out of the way, you've got 3 of these little clips that are included in the kit with some small zip ties. So 1, 2, 3 right here. You can just put them in. And then we can take our wire, feed the zip tie through here, take the wire, and just tighten that down so this stays nice and out of the way. And then you can go ahead and snip off the excess for these zip ties, making sure you don't. Now we're ready to put our door panel back on. Next, we're gonna go ahead and put this upper door trim back on. You'll notice there is 1 metal clip here, and you'll notice that there's a slot in the door for it that corresponds right by where we tighten up the mirror. So we're gonna go ahead and start with that. Just kind of get everything lined up. You'll feel that push in, and then you can just work this around the outer edge of the door. This is supposed to sit underneath of this weather stripping, so you can just pull this up by hand. You kind of work this around where you need it to be. This will also kind of clip in. Just make sure it's on there nice and tight. Once you've got that in, we're gonna go ahead and put those little plastic push pins right back in the corners here. 1 on this side and 1 on this side. All right, before we go ahead and put the door panel on, we're gonna take this weather stripping at the top off. So these are just held on by some silver clips. You can just pull these straight out. Be careful, because once you pull them out, they are gonna fall out. But don't worry, we got a plan for them. So you're gonna hold on to that for a second. And you should take your 5 clips. We're gonna set that weather stripping aside, and we're gonna go ahead and put our clips onto the door itself. Now we're gonna take those clips that we just removed. You're gonna take the flat side like this and slide it in to these divots here. You'll see there are 5 of them on the door. You're gonna want this part facing you. Now we'll take our weather stripping, and this is gonna sit just like this, kind of over top of them. You'll see, most likely in your weather stripping too, you're gonna have some divots where these were. The felt side is gonna face in towards the window. I'm just gonna set this down right here. Make sure you got it nice and tight, it's not pinched. And it's around the outer edge of this trim here. All right, now that we've got that done, we're gonna go ahead and put the rest of the door panel on. All right, now on our door panel, we're gonna take this big connector, we're gonna plug that back in where it came from. You should hear a nice little click once you do that, and then take that gray handle, push that down till it clicks. From there, we'll take our door handle cable. This little ball here is gonna slide into this slot. Then you can pull back on the cable itself and clip that right in. Once you've got that done, we're gonna be able to go ahead and hang the door panel. I'm gonna take the lock pin and feed that through the hole first. Then we can get everything kind of aligned here. And just go ahead. Be sure to work this all the way around. Give it some nice hits. Don't be afraid to use some force on this one. You may break a clip or 2, but that's okay. It will go back together. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and put the bolts back in. All right, now we're gonna start putting the bolts back into our door panel. I'm gonna start with this one here because it is the trickiest and I wanna get it out of the way. Gonna feed that one in as best you can. Go ahead and tighten that with your ratchet. All right, next I'm gonna go ahead and do this one behind the door handle here. And I always like to start these by hand, especially with something kind of fragile like these, because again, just don't want to get them cross-threaded. Tighten it up with the ratchet. You don't want to go too tight with these, just get them nice and snug. Now we're going to do these two right down here in the grab handle. I'm just going to drop that in, tighten that down. Same thing on the other one. Take our ratchet and snug it up. And then while we're down here, we can go ahead and put this finish panel back on. So you're going to take the big tab, that's going to go towards the outer edge of the door and just snap it right into place. So next we're going to put this panel back behind the door handle. Make sure you have that little divot right here in this corner. So just pull that out and that snaps right into place. Once we're done with that, we're going to go ahead and put the trim back on the door itself. Now I've gone ahead and put some of these metal clips back on. You may have to grab some others for yourself. And we're just going to go ahead, kind of tuck this in up top like that. And you should be able to just clip it in. Last thing we're going to do is insert the bolts down at the bottom of the door panel. So again, we've got two of them, one towards the outer edge. And do our next one a little bit closer to the inner edge of the door. Once you've got that most of the way down, I'm just going to go ahead and snug it up with your ratchet. And then you're done. Then you're going to go ahead and repeat this process on the other side of the truck. That's going to wrap it up here for our review and install of the powered heated towing mirrors with smoked amber LED turn signals for 2014 to 2017 Silverado 1500s. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, for all things Silverado, be sure to keep it right here at AmericanTrucks.com.